What's up, everybody? And welcome back to Ghosted, a paranormal podcast. I'm your host, Jake Thomas, and with me, my good pal, Colton Spinks. Colton, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing pretty good, Jake. What about yourself?
Man, I'm doing great, doing great. We decided to take a week off, just to pretty much get to the end and of our Revelations talk this week. So we're going to do an hour-long episode, a live episode. That way, if you guys have any kind of questions or comments, feel free to say something or whatever, because we've got some other things we need to talk about, and Revelation is very important, and that's why I feel like eventually we're going to come back to this subject, and maybe we can get a priest or a pastor or somebody who can teach us a little bit more than what we can tonight, because I'm all about learning, and that's what we do here. We learn. So, Colton, if you're ready, the first thing, where we left off with 2 weeks ago was the Six Seals opening, and that led into the what we're going to talk about first, starting out tonight, and that's the seven trumpets and what they symbolize. So the first three, Colton, if you want to go ahead and touch on them and talk about them, we'll go right ahead.
Alrighty. So the first trumpet is and they're angels blowing these trumpets. They're doing that. A third of the earth will be burnt. A third of the vegetation, the trees, it's just going to be burnt. So it's starting out to look like Armageddon. A
Yep.
third makes you wonder why this number. A third, that's a big number. That's a lot. Uh, it's a catastrophe. The next trumpet is the sea will turn to blood, and a third of the sea life will die. So we have, the land. Now we're in the water. Uh, a third of the sea life. That's not good, because I like seafood. It's my favorite thing. I don't think we'll be able to eat it
I
so
thought
much
Mexican
after that.
was.
Well, that it seafood is with everything, right? So
Yeah, that's true.
uh, that's bad news there. That's a lot of resource gone. The blood thing, often wonder what that means. A third
Yeah.
of it, red. Is it? I don't know. Is it just red, or it makes you wonder? It does.
My
And is that?
question. Oh, go ahead.
I was just wondering if the blood, the redness, is what kills the life. Maybe, I don't know. Just something to think about.
Yeah, my question on that particular one is, if it only kills a third of the animals and stuff in the sea, the fish and stuff, what is surviving in the in the ocean that point? Because if the water is turned to blood, you feel like it's losing its oxygen, and that's what these fish and everything that's in the ocean needs to breathe, to live. So what is left surviving? That's a question I've got, and whoever can, maybe somebody in the comments can explain that to me. That's what I was like. Why is only a third of all creatures dying in the sea?
Yeah, exactly. And is it happening everywhere simultaneously, and some things survive, some things don't? Or is it
Right.
happening, like, let's say, okay, Europe burns and China, but then this America part of it doesn't burn? Or is it all burning, but here and there there's a lot left? I mean, who knows? This is all
Could be.
speculation here. We're trying to just ideas. So the third one here is a third of the water will turn bitter. And this is, I believe, speaking about fresh water.
Mhm.
I think maybe that's another resource that we have to have. This is bad news for everybody. So bitter, that different translations. We have different ones, and it seems to be it is being poisoned or just made not good at all.
Yeah.
The water source is polluted, essentially. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And we got to have water to survive.
Yep.
And if a third of it's going bad, then I mean that's a lot of people dying.
Yeah.
So that's the first three, Jake, and all those three we were just discussing is, I mean, that's like Armageddon. That's just destruction. Uh, all this, a lot of death with the wildlife and things, resources being destroyed. So bad start.
Yeah. And another thing about the second trumpet there, it says it resembles like a great mountain burning with fire, falls from the sky and lands in the ocean. So, this mountain, this ginormous mountain is going to like appear and just fall into the ocean, and again kills a third of the sea creatures and also destroys a third of the ships at sea. So you definitely don't want to be on the water at this time. It sounds like
Yeah, it kind of sounds like a volcano. I don't know
it does.
if that is or not, but I had that thought even with some of these that we're about to discuss. Could this involve some volcanoes? Who knows?
It, it very well could be, honestly.
Yeah.
But the
So, oh yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say the fourth and fifth, third of the sun, the moon, and the stars are darkened, great and complete darkness, for a third of the day and the night. Now, you know, it gets dark at night, but my gosh, if you take the stars away, just how, I mean, it's pitch black. So that is very, very concerning.
It is, and that's where it kind of had I had the thought about the volcano because imagine if all the volcanoes went off, they have the solid black smoke. It's
Hmm.
called something, and it blacks out the atmosphere, and the sun basically doesn't shine. The stars you can't see them, and it's like night. Uh, that made me think of a volcano.
That's
Maybe it is, maybe it's not.
it very well
So
could be.
yeah, interesting.
The fifth trumpet also says it's the first woe. Now I don't know what all these the 1 through 4 trumpets are, but if we're just not getting the first woe and all this other is happening, this is bad. So tell us about the fifth trumpet.
Well, it says the locust willed the beast military power, and again with the translations could be differently said with some Bibles, but meaning the same thing. So locusts, they're often referred to. It seems like as demons. There's different names. It seems like maybe demons were called scorpions at one point. Uh, I'm just saying it's a possibility that locust means demons, and the beast
Hmm.
we know is prevalent in Revelations. The beast plays a big part in all of this. Military power. You know, is this saying the demons willed the military power of the beast? Could that be kind of what it's saying? What does that mean?
Uh,
Is it like demons are being just unleashed in a way? What do you think, Jake? Do you have a little different wording there, maybe?
uh, that's I don't really say honestly. Yeah, it right here it just says from out of the smoke, locusts who are given power like that of scorpions of the earth, who are commanded not to harm anyone or anything except for people who are not given the quote seal of God on their foreheads. So, I mean,
That's
yeah,
it
it's
makes me feel like demons, and
yeah,
I'm not going against the word here because these words beast and locust, they mean something.
yep,
Is that literal locust? I'm not saying for sure it's not, but I don't know. It seems like demons. I don't know. Uh, could the literal locust be attacking people that are not Christians? Maybe, but I'm feeling it's like if you're not protected by God, if you're not one of God's children, you're going to be susceptible to demonic attack.
yeah,
Well, that's the reality now, and it was in biblical times as well. But the rules seem to change here. It seems that they'll be just everybody will be a target, and they'll be harassed by the demonic forces.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like.
And right here it does say the locusts are described as having a human appearance, face and hair, but with lions' teeth and wearing breastplates of iron. The sound of their wings resemble the thundering of many horses and chariots rushing into battle. So don't think about it. I guess a locust does have wings, but that's just, it got locusts, you got scorpions. It said it's like scorpions of the earth, but then they have wings. So there's a lot of different meanings in this section right here. It's crazy.
Yeah, that was one we really had to think about more so than the previous.
Yeah.
So we'll see what 6 has in store.
Yeah. What tell us about 6, Colton?
Well, 6, third of mankind killed. And there's army of 200 million. Maybe you can touch more on that, Jake. A third of mankind killed. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Straight up dead.
Yeah.
Large amount of people will die. Not sure who. Not sure where. Probably everywhere. Yeah.
So this little right here, like you said, the 4 angels bound to the great river Euphrates are released to prepare 200 million horsemen. These armies kill a third of mankind by plagues of fire, smoke, and brimstone. That's wild. And there's a little scroll right here in an interlude that says an angel appears with 1 foot on the sea and 1 foot on the land, having an open little book in his hand. Upon the cry of the angel, 7 thunders utters mysteries and secrets that are not to be written down by John. So really, this is still John's vision, supposedly, that he's seeing. John is then instructed to eat the little scroll that happens to be sweet in his mouth, but bitter in his stomach. Um, and he's given a measuring rod to measure the temple of God, the altar, and those who worship there. Outside the temple, at the court of the holy city, it is trod by nations for 42 months, which is 3.5 years. 2 witnesses prophecy for 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. So that's all within this 6th trumpet here.
That was a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, John's really getting all this information. Couldn't imagine that. Not sure where to go with all that. Yeah, I mean,
That's wild.
it's something else. We got angels. The 200 million. Do you believe this is all the evil forces? Is that what you're getting from that? Maybe.
Perhaps,
Maybe.
maybe I'm not sure. I do know that even if the demons do have 200 million soldiers, it's not going to be enough, and we'll get to
No.
that. We'll get to that later on, a little bit later. But
Right.
yeah, the 6th, this 6th trumpet, it's got a lot of twists and turns in it. And the 7th trumpet here is the third woe that leads into the 7 bowls. What is this one about, Colton?
One thing I read to summarize, it was kind of like the kingdom of God declared. That doesn't, that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg here. There's a lot to the 7th. So yeah, I guess we can kind of dive into that, Jake. I had some stuff wrote down, but that's it. So as far as the timeline of things, you might have to take the reins there.
All right. So after the 7th trumpet, at least the 7 bowls, there's then the 7 spiritual figures. The first one's a woman clothed in a white robe with a sun at her back, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. Is in pregnancy with a male child. So this sounds like this is starting maybe the Antichrist. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I have studied this before, and I simply don't know what it means. Uh, I've watched like animations of this. Somebody made. There would, you know, I don't know, to be honest, Jake. This is extremely complicated.
Very.
Uh, I mean, I simply don't know about this woman, who she is. I don't know the moon and the sun. I don't know what it means.
Yeah. The moon under her feet with the sun at her back. That's weird. And with a crown of 12 stars. What's the 12 stars?
Right. I don't I don't know. Uh,
Yeah.
this is why this revelation it's difficult.
Yeah.
Bottom line, it's very difficult
But it
trying to
needs to be
understand it.
studied.
Yeah, it takes some real studying, and even then, you need other people to bring insight. I feel.
Yep. The second these seven spiritual figures is a great dragon. Now we've talked about the great dragon before with 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns on his head. Drags a third of the stars of heaven with his tail and throws them to the earth. It says the dragon waits for the birth of the child so he can devour it. However, sometime after the child is born, he is caught up to God's throne while the woman flees in the wilderness into her place prepared of God that they should feed her there for 1260 days, which again is 3.5 years. War then breaks out in heaven between Michael and the dragon, identified as the old serpent, which we know the old serpent is the devil or Satan.
Right. So, okay, the woman may not be bad. She may be good because it was Satan called up to the throne of God
Mm-hmm.
so the woman could flee and hide.
Mm-hmm. This child was so the dragon couldn't devour him.
The child, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then Michael, Archangel Michael, is like fighting the dragon again.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so wow, that's something else.
Yeah.
Uh,
And it says after this great fight, the dragon and his angels are cast out of heaven for good, followed by praises of victory from God's kingdom. The dragon engages to persecute the woman, but she is given aid to evade them. Her evasiveness enrages the dragon, prompting him to wage war against the rest of her offspring, who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So this
uh,
woman is fleeing and escaping each time, and she's got God on her side. It sounds like so. Of course, she's gonna be saved.
is this representing either Eve or Mary?
Very well could
I
be.
don't, I don't know because the child was very important,
Right.
obviously. Maybe. I mean, I don't want to say nothing. I don't want to say nothing for sure. I'm just trying to grasp all this.
Hmm. And the third figure here is a beast with 7 heads, 10 horns, and 10 crowns on his horns, and on his head names of blasphemy emerges from the sea, having one mortally wounded head that is then healed. The people of the world wonder and follow the beast. The dragon grants him power and authority for 42 months. So maybe this beast, since people are starting to follow him, maybe it is, and he has followers. Maybe this is the mark of the beast, as we hear about.
Right. And so the dragon, Satan, he's obviously at the head of the demonic
Yep.
evil. So he grants a lesser evil power.
Mm-hmm.
So he's ahead of that and he grants them something. So yeah, you're right. I think it could be the beast that is involved with the mark of the beast.
Yep.
Is it a high ranking fallen angel? Maybe.
Perhaps.
Uh, we know they operate under a military like hierarchy.
Right.
We've talked about that many times. So I think we see it here.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing it here in Revelations.
Mhm.
So
Uh,
yeah, what that's going to look like, I couldn't imagine.
I know. And then the fourth figure is the beast of the sea, blasphemy God's name, along with God's tabernacle and his kingdom and all who dwell in heaven, rages war against the saints. I guess the saints is left here on earth and overcomes them. Um, so apparently, this beast of the sea is just spitting out, just this hatred towards God and God's name, his people who are left here. By this time, I figured it didn't really say, but I don't know when the rapture is going to happen. But I don't know if the saints are still here, or is it the rapture's already happened, and then those who after the rapture is like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Is what is said to have happened is coming true. We need to bow before our Lord Jesus Christ and ask for forgiveness for our sins. Is that those people that are still here? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out later on in this episode.
Yeah, that's hard to say. The timeline of the rapture, and
Hmm.
it's still, you know, people disagree on it. These
Right.
people that know the Bible, they do disagree that the is it before or after the 7 year tribulation,
Hmm.
and we've discussed that, and
Right.
I'm not sure in the end. I think we discussed things more on the end of maybe it's before, but
Hmm.
I was listening to a guy talk about how it was after, and he
Right.
made some good points. So, yeah, that's a good question there, Jake. Where do we fall on that timeline at this point?
Yep. You're right. The fifth is another beast. He emerges from earth having two horns like a lamb, speaking like a dragon. He directs people to make an image of the beast of the sea who was wounded, yet lives, breathing life into it and forcing all people, here we go, to bear the mark of the beast, which the number is 666. And this leads into the third woe. The sixth figure is the lamb stands on Mount Zion with 144,000 quote first fruits who are redeemed from earth and victorious over the beast and his mark and image. So there's our seven figurines. We'll talk about them last two.
Right. And, are these things literal or do they represent something? And I've heard something along the lines of the receiving of the wound was the Vatican.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this is a theory, I guess, and a belief amongst some. I'm not saying it is, but it, you know, it was an idea, is all I'm saying, that it was the Vatican that had received the wound, you know.
Oh, we can talk about the Vatican for sure in the future episode. There's a lot
Yeah,
there.
that'll be a good one.
Yeah. Now we're getting to the seven bowls. We talked about that earlier. Right before the figurines, they talked about the third woe unleashing these seven bowls. The first bowl is a foul and malignant sore that afflicts the followers of the beast. The second bowl, the sea turns to blood and everything within it dies. The third bowl, all fresh water turns to blood. So let's talk about them first three bowls there.
So we talked about the trumpets a third. So this is basically finishing it off, it sounds
Yep.
like.
Yep.
Completely and utterly destroyed.
Annihilating it all.
Yeah. So all food, all resource will seem to dwindle. Fresh water, we got to have it. We got to have it. We can't go long without it. So people's going to be dying. There's no doubt in masses. Whoever's left, we know a third has already died. So much death. Uh, yeah, the followers, I wonder if that has to do with the mark of the beast, because we know if you take the mark, you'll be afflicted by the sores. It seems like similar to leprosy,
Yeah.
which was common in biblical times, not so much anymore. But if you want to talk about a similarity, that seems similar. Sores all over, horrible. seems like maybe it's talking about once that bowl is poured, then those who have the mark it may be their time to be afflicted by this illness.
Right. Yep, that's
I
right.
could be wrong there, but it sounds like it.
That's what it sounds like. The fourth bowl, it kind of continues destroying the rest of everything. Says the sun scorches the earth with intense heat and even burns some people with fire. Um, and the fifth bowl, there's total darkness and great pain in the beast's kingdom. So right here, it does sound like the devil is now on earth and he's ruling over everybody. And these bowls are being released out to, I guess, destroy everything and inflict pain and suffering to his followers and to him. And that way, at the end of all this, he has nothing he can do. He has no food source. He has, or the people especially, has no food source, has no water source, things like that. So this is what we always talk about: scorched earth. This is definitely a scorched earth.
Right. And it does make you wonder, will we be raptured at that point? Because if not, I mean, we're probably going to die. I mean, there's no reason why we think we live. I mean,
Hmm.
everybody's dying. All the water's polluted, poisoned. So let's hope we'd be raptured. Let's hope that's
Yeah.
the reality of it. And the sun, that's interesting. Uh, there's always the people say if the sun was just a little bit closer, we'd be like on fire and we'd be burned up. So something happens there with the sun. I don't
Yeah.
know exactly what it could be, but it's going to be like you're under a heat lamp or something. You know, you can't handle the heat and you're dying and burning up. You know, going out there for like probably 5 minutes and getting a sunburn so bad you die. That's
Hmm.
what it sounds like. So yeah, there'll be a lot of people in caves, I would imagine.
The thing about this is, we live in Alabama, so we have intense summers here. I mean, humidity up greater than 100 degrees, 105, 110. That is extremely hot. But what is to come with in Revelations with this scorched sun, it's going to be 100 times hotter than even that. So, it's going to be bad. So I hope and pray that we're not here when all this is going on.
Yeah, we'll straight up die if it gets a little bit hotter here because I feel like we're almost already dying because it's so hot.
Yeah.
But it'll be like there's a movie. What is it called? Is it The Day After Tomorrow? Maybe where there's a extreme weather event, an ice age, and everybody north or like us Americans, we are they're crossing the Mexico border. They're trying to get to a warmer place,
Yeah.
and it'll be the opposite. People will be trying to go to Antarctica and Alaska,
Mhm.
probably places like that.
Yeah, for sure. So that was number four. Yeah, number four. The fifth bowl. I talked about it. The total darkness. I like again, like I said earlier, I couldn't imagine just total pitch black darkness.
Yeah, that would be quite a thing. Kind of like an eclipse that never ends.
Oof,
Could
gosh,
this be caused by all these volcanoes? I
perhaps.
mean, yeah, who knows? It's an idea, or it could happen another way.
Yeah,
So,
you're right. The sixth bowl, calling the sport out. The great river Euphrates is dried up, and preparations are made for the kings of the east and the final battle of at Armageddon between the forces of good and evil. So, you know, not only is everything drying up, but and getting pitch black and all that, but it sounds like Earth itself is being destroyed and preparing for the new Earth as we hear from time to time and talk about in Revelations.
and who are these kings of the east?
Hmm.
I don't know. Here, they say we're west. In the west, uh, is it the Middle East? Is that what it's kind of talking about?
Yeah, Israel maybe.
It could be, very well could be. And the Euphrates River, man, this is something else. it was years and years ago where you know, from this, it's drying up. The verse
Mm.
you just read, Jake. I heard it and I started researching it, and it's like, yeah, this thing is literally drying up right now as we speak, and that is a
A
straight
sign.
up sign of the times. Yeah, it's gotta be. I mean, we're not in control here. It could fill back up somehow. I don't know, but it's not looking like it. It's going dry, and you would not believe it, me telling you. But look up a picture. The river at the point where it is now, drying up, before and after. There is a omega symbol. It's perfect. You know, alpha and omega. Omega
Yeah.
means end. It
Hmm.
means the end. It's there, a perfect symbol. The Euphrates River. I can't
That
even. You know, I wish we could put it up here. Don't know how, but it's amazing, and it don't get no more real than that. I mean, this has got to be the sign. It's got to be.
that's very interesting. Just talking about the Euphrates River real quick. About I was just looking it up. It says why is it drying up, and it says several factors. You know, the reason why behind it. It's talking about the Atakirk Dam, which is located in Turkey. Um, it 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 was built. It's one of 22 dams along the river that was built in the 1980s and 90s to provide irrigation and hydroelectric power. As a result of that, less of the river drains downstream now. The global climate change has led to the drought with decreased rainfall into the river basin, warmer temperatures, increased evaporations, things like that. But honestly, we know the true culprit why it's drying up.
Yeah, it don't matter what way in particular. It's drying up because it's meant to be drying up. It's God's plan
Right.
in the end. And man, that thing's going dry. So it makes you have a sense of urgency because
Yeah.
it says here, and then the thing is going dry as we speak. So I don't know how long it's going to take before it's completely dry. Uh, I'm sure some people do. You know, they could calculate how much it has dried and at how fast, what the rate is that it is drying up, and how deep it is. That information is there. I don't know, who knows. Somebody that lives there, and kind of like a TVA guy, I would assume,
Hmm.
but not Tennessee Valley. But
Yeah.
so it's interesting. I wish somebody could get us that information
Yeah, for
when
sure.
it is predicted to be dry.
Yeah, that'd be good to know. The seventh bowl, Colton, the last of the bowls to be poured out is a great earthquake and a heavy hailstorm. Within this hailstorm, it says every island fled away and the mountains were not found. So it sounds like this hailstorm is going to be so intense that it's going to pretty much sink islands and going to destroy mountains.
That's got to be some big chunks of ice, and it's got to be, you know, obviously on a scale that we have never saw before. This stuff, because these things happen naturally, these earthquakes, these hailstorms, but this will not be natural. This will be straight from God Himself.
Hmm.
I imagine this is an earthquake that will be so catastrophic. It'll split continents, and it'll
Yeah.
cause the biggest tsunamis ever. And this ice will be so big, it'll one piece will probably rip a house in half.
Hmm.
That's what I imagine. So yeah, it's
That's
crazy.
wild. It is very crazy. So the aftermath of all this that's happened, this is still a vision of John given by an angel who had these seven bowls. It says the great harlot who sits on a scarlet beast with seven heads, 10 horns, and names of blasphemy all over its body, and by many waters, Babylon the Great. The angel showing John the vision of the harlot and the scarlet beast reveals their identities and fates. New Babylon is destroyed. The people of the earth, the kings, merchants, sailors, all that mourn New Babylon's destruction. And then the permanence of a the permanence of the New Babylon's construction continues. and then we get into the marriage supper of the Lamb. Let's talk about the aftermath of everything being destroyed right there, and then that beast, if you want to, real quick.
Yeah. So is this the like the whore of Babylon? Maybe. Uh,
Maybe, yeah.
maybe. The new Babylon being destroyed. Where is that? I'm gonna throw this out there. I feel like it might be the USA. Just throwing that out there. Not a good place, and
Hmm.
very corrupt, and it will be destroyed. Just a thought. Uh, yeah.
Well,
This harlot riding on this thing again. Is it representing something? I don't know. I don't know.
Babylon is in modern day Iraq, but there is a Babylon village in New York.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, where's the new one gonna be? Right?
Right,
Maybe
exactly.
like it's talking. Yeah, that could be New York there, Jake. New York is
Very corrupt.
it's known across the entire world, and yeah, it could be it. Could be.
Very well could be. All right. Let's see. The marriage supper of the Lamb. Um, a great multitude praises God. The marriage supper of the Lamb. The judgment of the two beasts, the dragon and the dead. All this is going to happen. So the marriage supper, of course, is with God and all of His, as He comes, the bride of Jesus. So, man, that marriage supper is going to be great.
Yeah, it sounds like something else there. And like the beast, you say the dragon will be judged. So
Hmm.
that's kind of like Satan's time is coming to an end there. All this that he's done and is doing, and that will he will do is kind of it's gonna he's gonna be judged for it. That's something else. That's pretty powerful stuff there.
Yeah. It says the beast and the false prophets, or the false prophet, are cast into the lake of fire. The dragon is imprisoned in the bottomless pit for 1,000 years. The resurrected martyrs live and reign with Christ for 1,000 years. So this is when after the Armageddon, Jesus comes back and reigns over His people for 1,000 years, and then the beast, Satan, and all his cronies are thrown into a lake of fire, and he's imprisoned in that lake of fire for 1,000 years.
Right. And this kind of confused me always because he's gonna be threw into the lake of fire for 1,000 years, but then released again.
Yeah,
Am I
we'll
right
get into
there?
that. Yep.
Yeah, I've wondered what does that mean? Why is there that 1,000 years and why is he released? You know.
That's a very good question, Colton. And that's our next thing. It says after the 1,000 years, the dragon is released and goes out to deceive the nations in the four corners of the earth, and gathers them for battle at the holy city. So again, he's in prison for 1,000 years, and I guess those 1,000 years he just built up just so much hatred and just anger that he's like, I'm going to try it again. He's already lost. I mean, this would be now the second time, because we originally know that the devil was thrown out of heaven. That's why he's you know in hell, because he tried to be the guy there, and it just didn't work out for him. Of course, thank God it didn't. And now he goes through Armageddon. He gets defeated again, gets thrown in this lake of fire, and now he's going to try it a third time. Well, it don't work out again, because when the people are with God, God ultimately reigns supreme and wins every single time.
Right, exactly. I mean, he's no match for God. So it's just weird. We will understand one day, I believe. We'll have that understanding when it's time. But what is it going to be like for 1,000 years when all we know is the world we live in and that Satan running in this earth like freely? So what is it going to be like when he's not doing that
Yeah.
for 1,000 years? It would be like a foreign thing to us, I think. Something horrible will be taken away briefly. And again, it leaves me with questions, many questions. Uh, what will that be like? Why? And it's weird to think about. Will it
Yeah.
be a great 1,000 years? Probably, maybe. So
Yeah. You're right. If by this time, if the 1,000 years and you're in heaven or new earth, whichever the is, and it says Christ is going to reign over it, it's going to be pretty much perfect because Christ is perfect.
right, yeah, it'll be something else.
Yep. So what happens to the dragon after this battle? He is again thrown into the lake of fire with the beast and the false prophet. So again, he's thrown back into the lake of fire.
And the beast and the false prophet, man, are they prominent in Revelations? Uh, I have a hard time picturing the beast here. The false prophet, that's talking about the Antichrist.
I imagine
I
so.
reckon.
Yeah.
So again, that's all another topic, and we've discussed it. Is he here now? Has he yet to be born? I don't know. So he's, I guess, inherently evil. It
hmm
seems like, or maybe he has that choice of being evil. It's hard to say. Uh, I have a hard time, like I said, what is the beast? What is the origins of it exactly? I know the mark of the beast, but what is that beast?
Right.
You know, but the three, right? Three evil entities there.
Yep. That's right.
It's
And they
almost like
are.
the Dark Trinity or something.
It is. You have the Holy Trinity, the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, and then you have
Mm,
this dark Trinity, the dragon, the beast, and then the false prophet.
right. Yeah. That's good connection there.
Yeah. So after all that, after the battle's over and the 1,000 years happens, and he tries to come back and take over again and fails, thrown into the lake of fire. Um, the last judgment. This is when the wicked, along with death and Hades, are cast into the lake of fire. And then a new heaven and earth and new Jerusalem appear. The new heaven, new earth replace the old heaven, old earth. There's no more suffering and death. Um, it says, God comes to dwell with the humanity in New Jerusalem. The river of life and the tree of life appear for the healing of the nations and peoples, and the curse of sin is ended. So, I mean, that is a perfect description of what New Earth is going to be like in New Jerusalem.
So that's it, right? That is the grand finale, it seems.
Yeah.
All evil will be cast into the lake of fire. Satan, for the final time, it's over. He'll be there for eternity.
Yep.
And that's kind of interesting. Some people, I don't think, realize it fully. Of they think go to heaven and that's it, but there's another step, right?
hmm
There'll be a new earth, and we talked about this today, and I've kind of thought about it. The new earth, is that this earth made new, or is it like another earth uh, that will be created? I'm not sure.
Uh,
Uh, but anyway, the holy city come down. It's like heaven and earth coming into one. It
right.
seems like, and that's where we Christians will dwell for eternity in that paradise, in that kingdom, and it'll be great. How do earth, a whole earth to yourself and your fellow Christians? That's something else. I hope we can teleport, because like we could just go from place to place, because earth is big.
It
It's
is.
very big. You'd like to go to the mountains and go to the beach in the same day. That would be nice.
It
I
would
think
be.
the I think the rules will be different there, as far as you know. I don't think we'll be driving cars, to be honest. Who knows? But I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think we are either. There's going to be something that we're able to do. Um, I guess really, we talked about, and we watched a little video about this today. I showed you Colton. Talk about the Christians here. They're go to heaven. There's a lot of debate. They go to heaven to be judged, or are they left here and then with new earth, or is our bodies going to still be here during this new earth period? There's a lot there, and who knows, this New Jerusalem is heaven, perhaps, or something. I don't know, but it's it's very, very, regardless of what it is. That's why I want to be at. I don't want to be in the lake of fire for sure. I want to be a part of
No,
this new Jerusalem, new heaven, new earth scenario.
exactly. I mean, it can't get much better than that. And we'll get new bodies. So it seems like we'll get physical bodies, like perfect ones that are not flawed. We're all basically flawed in some way, shape, or form. And if you're not, you probably will be as you get older and whatnot. Uh, and we do have a hard time comprehending the mixture of spiritual and physical. And we're talking about heaven here, which is physical in a sense, but it also has that paranormal. It's got angels in it; they can do things.
Right.
Uh, and we're going to get new bodies. Our souls are not physical, but we'll get brand new physical bodies.
Yeah.
So it is kind of difficult to think about. You got to combine physical and spiritual.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Man, you know, I feel like there's a lot of questions I still need answered for this, but I've learned a lot, during these past, it was 4 weeks now because we skipped a week, but during this um, little travel through the book of Revelation. So, um, man, it was a really cool thing to talk about, and I'm sure we'll come back later in the future to discuss some more things. Hopefully, we can find a pastor or a priest, somebody to get on here and talk with us and try to answer some of our questions. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. We both have questions that are left unanswered, and I know we kind of struggled here with a lot of this, but that's just how it is with the revelations. We did the best we could, and trying to learn, as we go on revelations. But it's more about bringing this stuff out and talking about it as
Mhm.
opposed to like, just teaching everybody this and that. Because when it comes to revelations, I ain't ready to be teaching nobody anything. I need to be taught myself.
Right.
So yeah, it's fun to talk about and try to figure out.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, that part 3 and part 2 and part 1, this whole journey has been great. The last, 5-10 minutes, let's just give a preview of what we have in store for everybody. You know, and then we'll get out of here for the night.
Yeah, we got some ideas, don't we?
Hmm.
One thing we're going to talk about. I'll say it here. It's going to be off our normal topic, but I think everybody will be happy about it because it pertains to them, and it is something that I think we've all thought about at some point, and it has to do with our country and other countries. Is is America the best country in the world?
Hmm.
Maybe that's what we could title it. That's going to be the focus of our discussion. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, a lot of bad stuff in our country, the United States of America. And if you're like me, you ain't been nowhere else. The furthest I've been is Wyoming, and of course that's in the U.S. So it doesn't. I didn't get no new perspective on anything, and we got to filter out the propaganda. We gotta we gotta figure out the facts. You know what lies outside of our borders, and what are the bad things with this country? What are the good things? And we will look into other countries. And
Hmm.
me and you, Jake, we're not so educated on all these other countries. We don't travel a lot, like I was saying. but it's going to be like Revelations. We're going to be discussing ideas,
Right.
talking about it openly. We're not going to be preaching to people about this and that. We're just talking about it. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of, I think we talked about it before, but we're going to throw in mostly paranormal things, but we're also going to do some conspiracy stuff as well. Just because, you know, it's out there, and we're not talking about just the lambastic, crazy conspiracies. We're talking about conspiracies that tend to seem like they are actually true. So we'll throw some of that in there as well. No, we got some more UFO stories, Bigfoot stories, dogmen, ghost demons, stuff like that. We'll definitely touch on those as well. But next week we're going to talk about what Colton just said. Talk about is America the still the greatest country in the world? And I think you'd be very surprised on our opinion on that, and have your opinion as well in the comments. But Colton, you got anything else you want to touch on relating to the Book of Revelations and the journey we took in this series?
No, I think we covered it as good as we were able to. And it was fun. Revelation's very complicated. It was fun though. We learned a lot along the way. I feel like.
Yeah, we did. And like I said, there's still a lot of questions that I need answered. And hopefully one of these days I'll have those answers. Just like in the paranormal field, I'm hoping one of these days we have our answers that we have contain the paranormal. So, Colton, it's been a great journey through Revelations. We'll definitely have to come back to it. Uh, because again, we're going to talk about some demons and they're prevalent in the Bible and all that, as well as here on earth. So we'll definitely touch on Revelations again. But other than that, guys, thank you all for listening. Please like, share, and comment. Tell a friend. That's how we grow, is by the word of mouth and everything like that. And we just want to, get as many people following us as we can. So we'll do what we can, and continue doing this until I get old and feeble and can't talk no more. So I'm sure Colton's going to be the same way. But one of these days we're going to have an investigation, hopefully, and we can go live during that as well. That'd be pretty fun. But Colton, my dog's going crazy behind me, so I probably need to go ahead and we need to end her tonight. But anyway, thank you all for listening. This has been Ghosted, a Paranormal Podcast, with your host, Jay Thomas, Colton Spinks, and we'll be back here next week with a brand new episode, brand new topic, and enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you back here next Thursday night. Y'all have a good evening and good night.